Hi there, it's Dan here from Young Professionals, and we're delighted to be joined by Lloyds Banking Group today for our Young Professionals podcast. Now, in this podcast series, we're going to be interviewing some of the Lloyds Banking Group apprentices, where we're going to find out a little bit more about who they are, what they do, and ultimately how you at home can find out about how you can join one of the UK's largest banks. So we hope you enjoy our first podcast with Lloyds Banking Group, and over to you, Luke.
Introductions, starting with you, Becky. If you could outline potentially your current role at LBG, and maybe one fun fact about yourself.
So I'm Becky. I am in data in the digital sector of the bank, so we look at all the apps data. A fun fact is probably that I'm a twin. That's fun sometimes.
I didn't know that.
That's quite a cool fact. Yeah, not many people know. But yeah, that's me.
Perfect.
So I'm Holly Evans. I'm also a data apprentice. I work in the customer affordability and data team. So we're all about trying to make customers really understand their affordability, especially in the current climate with the cost of living. Fun fact about me is that I've been in number 10 Downing Street.
Wow.
Quite a cool fact.
How long ago was this?
When Tony Blair was in office.
Oh, was it? Wow.
Yeah, I was very small. I was actually sick in number 10 Downing Street. So
Really?
to add to the fun
Were
fact,
you?
I was a baby.
Oh, right.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm Will. I'm a data analyst apprentice as well. I'm also in the chief digital office, so same as Becky, and we look at the data that we get from the customer apps, so like Lloyds, Bank of Scotland, MBNA, and the Halifax app. Basically what we can do to improve the journeys there, what's going on. Fun fact, I'm 6'10". A lot of people know that when they see me, but obviously this will be digital, so I won't be standing up here. But yeah, I'm one of the tallest people that a lot of people will meet. And it's quite tricky to find clothes, but yeah, other than that, it's a good thing.
Diving straight in, what was your journeys into apprenticeships? So, what was the experience like into your current roles at the moment?
So for me, I finished school and went to uni, and I did psychology, and the next step was either do a master's or stop there, and I just wanted to get right into the world of work. So I went on to Indeed and looked at psychology graduate jobs, and all that came up was teaching assistants jobs. So I did that for September to July, but it wasn't really for me. I just wanted something that was a bit more challenging, that was like current and a bit more to do with numbers really. So I applied for an apprenticeship and I'm now here. That's what I'm doing.
Amazing.
To be honest, apprenticeships wasn't really something that was massively discussed at my school. It was kind of uni. So I left school last year and went to Warwick University to do business management. But I kind of really quickly decided it wasn't really for me. Didn't really like that purely academic environment. But it was quite difficult really. I kind of felt like there was no other path. I kind of felt a bit stuck. And then heard about apprenticeships online again, kind of looked into them. Data was something I would have never have considered. That word kind of freaked me out. But yeah, kind of a different journey. So yeah, joined this September. So yeah, kind of gone from that school to university to into fully immersing myself in the corporate world, which has been a good decision so far.
Yeah, and I had a similar journey to you. So I left school very much pointed towards university. My background was in the sciences, and a lot of the experiences you get at school were saying university. So I went to university for a little while, found it wasn't for me, so I left, started working for Halifax. So I worked there for a year and a few months. And then the apprenticeships team came to the branch that I worked at, and I met some of the colleagues that worked there and spoke to them about the roles. And I applied in January of this year. And after a few months, I managed to get the role, and I'm here now. So we joined at the same time, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really good so far. Like you mentioned, I wouldn't ever have thought of going into data, but I've really enjoyed it. And I think my branch background really helps the role I'm in now, where we're looking at the customer journey, looking at what customers do, basically. Because before working for Halifax, I'm not sure about you guys, but I hadn't ever really been to a branch before. Most of my experiences with banks are interacting through my phone. Yep. So I gained an appreciation for what branch was like, and then I'm in the digital side now. It's come full circle almost.
That's really interesting that you mentioned that, actually, because I think having gone to uni and then kind of transitioned into the corporate workplace, what necessarily triggered that shift? A lot of students that we kind of tap into and host many events for, they are almost considering either a university or an apprenticeship. But it's really interesting that you guys actually went from university into an apprenticeship. It'd be really interesting to understand a bit more as to why that is.
For me, it was with uni, it was just you sort of do the lectures and then you do exams. With an apprenticeship, you're learning on the job, so you join. They don't expect you to have any prior experience in data, which obviously none of us did have. And then you're sort of learning as you go. You're in amongst all the teams. You're happy to ask any questions that you've got with people that are right in the thick of it. And then by the end of it, you're qualified and you can do the job with confidence because you've been there and you've learned it along the way. So that's really valuable for me.
I think it kind of depends on the person. I mean, for me, I'm quite a sociable person, so I kind of like interacting with loads of people and different teams. So kind of joining the corporate world was quite fun for me, actually, like meeting new people too. As well, university, I'm sure, as you know, it can be quite a lonely experience. Again, I think kind of depends if you're somebody who's kind of unsure about what they want to do. Joining a big company such as Lloyds is really great because there's loads of different teams. You can massively diversify instead of kind of putting yourself in that one camp at university. So I think it kind of depends on you. But for me personally, I kind of wanted to be sociable. I really wanted to be, like you say, in the thick of it, immersing myself in terms of those kind of customer-facing roles, and really sort of seeing a change was really nice.
Yeah, and everything prior to my role in the working world was quite, it's not, I wouldn't really say lonely, but very much soul driven. It's just you on this journey that you are working for yourself most of the time. Like prior to working, I'd only ever really worked by myself. I hadn't had any real team interaction. So it's really, I really enjoy working as part of a larger team and being around people with similar, not that I wasn't around people with similar interests, but with similar goals in mind. And you get given work by people and then you give them to lots of different people. So you've got lots of different stakeholders. Whereas academically, it's just you. You're the only you're the main stakeholder. Whereas when you're producing work for other people, that's what I really enjoyed. So that's what I've really learned to enjoy. But one of the really surprising things was the fact that you're around people that aren't your age. So when you're at school, everyone's the same age as you. And now one of my best mates at work is like 55 or so. It's crazy. We've got the work Christmas do tomorrow, and I don't know if she would be falling asleep in her drink or something.
Well, I mean, it's really good that you say that, actually, because I mean, a lot of students will go to university just for, let's say, the social, and then have like their studies as well. But it's really important to understand that actually apprenticeships, you can really actually connect with a whole network of other individuals and kind of like feel included as well within that. On the topic of actually studies though, Becky, you mentioned that you did psychology. So fun fact, I actually did psychology as well for A-level.
Did you?
Yeah. But it's really interesting how potentially could you see psychology playing an important role within the workplace and maybe carrying that like studies and theoretical knowledge you learned at university potentially into the workplace, even within data?
Definitely. I think it's a degree that you can use in all aspects, really, because you can use it in terms of your team and how you can best communicate with them. You can learn about like the way they best learn. So some people are visual learners, some people are not, and that's really helpful in terms of meeting new people. But then obviously the customer aspect, you can analyse customer behaviours, and with the psychology knowledge you can sort of anticipate what they're going to do next or what they're expecting and sort of personalise the experience. And in the bank there are opportunities to look at customer behaviour as a whole rather than the data of it. So that's really interesting. But yeah, it's not like it's unrelated and the degree was pointless. It does fit in quite well, I would say.
And something I've actually noticed all of you've mentioned so far is customer facing, client driven workflows. So you all do data apprenticeships. It's really interesting actually that you are still speaking to people. A lot of the like misconceptions and stigma around data is that you're on your laptop 24/7, you're looking at
Code.
Spreadsheets.
yeah, spreadsheets,
Yeah.
all of the above, right? How important is it to actually be client facing and people orientated within your roles, and how does that actually translate into results? As I'm sure like a lot of students are thinking, do I go into data? Am I really that good on the technical side of things? Maybe I'm more of a people person, but I don't want to maybe go into a role within the accounting team or business actuarial. How does your roles actually kind of play into that much more qualitative, people orientated approach?
I mean, in my experience, I like to think I'm a people person.
Sure.
And I definitely agree. I think before working in a data facing role, there was definitely a stigma. I was like, is this for me? But I think that you've got to remember that there's people behind this data. And I don't know about your experience, but it really motivates everything that we do. Every time we're using a piece of data, we're remembering that there's a customer behind this. And in my team, we use that to improve customer journey. So we're talking to customers through research, we're talking to them about what they want to see in our app, for example, and we're using that data, whether that be qualitative or quantitative, to use that to improve. So we're constantly thinking from a customer perspective, and as a Lloyds customer myself, that's quite easy. So I think it's not just a case of, like you say, looking at those spreadsheets and that code, it's kind of using that to then kind of translate into things such as the app to kind of improve customer experience. Not sure if it's the same for you or...
It's sort of seeing through the numbers, really, isn't it? It's having the appreciation that there is someone behind it that is generating these numbers, and we are looking to use these to improve journeys. Like, you're not looking to see what's going on just for the fun of it. You're looking to, you're driving decisions, you're driving change within the business. It's good to be a part of that and to know that the work you do is going to have positive impacts going forwards. But yeah, you would. With my branch background, it's interesting to see from being in a branch in central London, where your demographic is mainly digitally based customers. They're coming to the bank when they're in the bank because they can't find their solution elsewhere. So having that appreciation is really interesting. And I know we led a branch visit the other day back to my old branch, and we spoke to colleagues there and found out, like, why are people here? What's driving these journeys in? Because you can see these numbers on the dashboards, on our Tableau, on our Power BI sites. But until you actually go there and speak to people, you don't really understand the data. So it's generating, and being able to get that insight is what Lloyds provides. They can tell you, well, not Lloyds, but having a role in an apprenticeship provides you see where these numbers are coming from, what you're doing with them, the good that you're doing.
So a lot of students will be thinking, how do I contextualize that into an actual role? So maybe it would be great if we could understand a particular project that each of you have worked on, the goods, the bads, spill all the details. But Becky, maybe starting with you, do you have a particular?
Yeah. So recently, it's sort of an ongoing one. I'm looking at where customers are dropping out of a particular journey. Obviously, for the product owners, it's really important to know what part of the journey is where they're leaving, so that they can see, like, can they optimise that part? Is there something they can add or make easier? So my job was to use code to extract all the customers that did the journey in a specific time period, and look at where their maximum step was. So if a lot of people have dropped out at, say, the customer details page, maybe it's a hard form to fill in. Basically what we did was look at all of these customers and their journeys and just isolate the customers that had dropped out at all. And then we looked at what journey they then went on to afterwards, whether it was the same product or a different product, to sort of look at what they're actually aiming to take out in terms of products. We also looked at whether they saw a lead. So a lead is like an invitation to take out a journey or start something, and you get a lead if you're eligible for that product. So it was interesting to see, did the people that dropped out go to the journey because of a lead, or did they do it off their own back and just wanted to take out that product? We also looked at away money. So that's basically if they've dropped out of that journey and then taken money and put it into a competitor's bank account to see if we're not fulfilling their needs. And it's sort of an ongoing thing, because it's good to see month on month if we're improving with dropouts or if we're getting worse with dropouts. And it's really interesting to take that insight and pass it on to the product owner so that they can optimise and personalise as well, because I think there's lots of different segmentations of customers, and like we're all the same segment, I would say. We're not looking for the same products as retired people would be. So it's important to personalise the experience, and with that piece of data, then they can do that.
Amazing.
Bit different for me, really. The kind of project that I've been working on recently is all kind of centred around that qualitative data. So being in the affordability team, a lot of customers don't really understand what that word even means. So we were kind of looking at how can we sort of educate our customers in terms of what a credit score is, what affordability means. So I conducted some research into personal finance influencers and kind of who the over 25 age demographic are listening to and the under 25 age demographic, because I think it vastly differs. You know, you have these kind of 40-year-old sort of bracket that are listening to people such as Martin Lewis, but it was really interesting in terms of who are that younger demographic listening to, who are they getting that advice from, because through research we kind of know this isn't their parents, they don't empathise with them, this isn't the news or banks, they're really turning to social media for advice. So kind of looking at the market and who's out there and what kind of tools that they're using, what topics are they educating on, what kind of language are they using. And then we combined this with another piece of research that we did that was with customers directly, where we got them to make video diaries and really kind of get good insight into sort of what they want to understand. And then we all came together in a really big workshop. We had about 3 of these, which was really fun. Definitely get the chance to be creative. I think that's another stigma around data, which was really fun. Like Will said, I was working with people from all different ages, which was again really good, because my kind of view in terms of what might be helpful as a learner, as a 20-year-old, vastly differs from somebody who's 50. So it really kind of highlighted that we need to kind of target customers totally differently. And we work really close with the app development team. So whether we use that research to kind of improve our language and notifications, or whether we kind of use short videos, for example, like Reels and TikTok videos to kind of educate our customers. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on at the minute, but there's a lot to do. Obviously the market's ever changing. There's more learning that customers want to do. So yeah, I definitely think that the sort of under 25 demographic can sometimes be forgotten, that we're all interested in finance, as I'm sure you all agree. So yeah, kind of making sure that we're educating them in the right way is really important.
Yeah, and a piece that I've been working on was the check scanning piece. So our team look at on-demand analytics, other teams that might see an uptick or a decrease in a trend of data come to us and they say what's going on if they need more insight into the data. So what we saw recently was an increase in people depositing checks in the branch. So a check, a written piece of paper to indicate authorization of payment from an account. People that have the app, so Halifax, Bank of Scotland, Lloyds, that could use the scanning function are using branch. So they're going out of their way, potentially in their work break or earlier or later in the day, taking their time to visit a branch where they could use the app instead. Saves them a lot of time, a lot of effort. So my project was just looking at why this is happening, who's depositing the checks, where are the checks coming from. We saw that they're mostly coming from, more recently, it was HMRC, so tax refunds. But the second largest was DVLA, so the vehicle tax refunds. If you lose your car, if you sell your car, you could be entitled to a refund of tax. Our project was looking at what we could see that would indicate a potential refund, so that we could then best give a lead to a customer to say you could deposit a check in the app, saves you a journey to a branch. And that was really interesting to see the different customer journeys, see why people are getting checks, maybe what their behaviour is around a check deposit and why they might be going to a branch. So whether they've gone to the journey and then fallen out at certain points, so we can see that as well. So what points we could improve in that journey, because with our apps, they're very, very relatively new relative to our branches. Our branches have been open for 40, 50 years. They've been years and years. Like, I don't know how old the bank is, but it's an old institution versus our apps are a lot newer. And if we're trying to refer people to a journey that is a lot newer on the app compared to a branch journey, which has been refined over so many years, we need to make sure that that is as good as, if not better than, the branch journey. So this is what we're doing basically with check scanning.
That's really good, actually, you mentioned that, because it's really interesting to hear how Lloyds Banking Group is like moving almost with the times, and that as kind of like data apprentices, you're all almost at the forefront of that digital change. So moving on to our final discussion topic, we're going to be discussing AI and its role in the workplace. So Becky, starting with you, AI, how is it going to be impacting your job potentially, but do you use AI at the moment?
Yes and no. We have, like, my manager is really fond of Microsoft Copilot, as Will knows. So that's basically AI that can make a presentation or like reply to an email, or if we've got a Microsoft Teams meeting that's like an hour long, it can sort of summarise all the main points, which is really useful. In terms of like Lloyds, I would say we've obviously got the live chat or digital chatbot and things like that, which is obviously really useful because when customers want a 24/7 conversation, they can have that rather than waiting for the phone lines to open or waiting to go into branch. So that's there. I would say it's definitely advancing, and we were talking about it the other day of like, what if AI can start doing jobs that we could do and it's quicker and it takes over our jobs. But I think it's just a case of managing it and working well with it, because obviously AI is a computer, and as valuable as it is, we do have the human brain, so we can make the decisions and we know what a customer wants rather than like mechanical computer. We do actually know, like, we're people, so I could say, yeah, I would benefit from that, so someone else would too, sort of thing.
I'd say it's a massive opportunity. A lot of people think that AI is a threat in the workplace. I disagree. I'd say that it's a massive opportunity. We were discussing the other day how we can use AI to get immediate answers for customers. So they just want a quick question instead of going into the branch, as Will said. It's kind of an outdated process. They can just get a really quick answer through a chatbot, for example, just to kind of massively enhance their journeys. I was at an event the other day, and a senior leader said a quote that really stuck with me, which was that AI will not take your job, but a colleague who knows more about AI will. And I think that sums it up very well.
Yeah, I think it will definitely reduce the typically boring work that we have to do. So a lot of the steepest learning curve, at least for me when we joined, was learning how to code query languages for all of our data. And I feel like we'll be able to say to an AI bot, write me a query that would generate these results, or a more even the bot or the AI engine being able to query the data itself, and we can just give it a verbatim query rather than having to break down what we want in the coding language. If it could do that itself, would be really interesting. But otherwise, I mean, we use AI sometimes, don't we? In our team, we look at Copilot being able to support with video transcriptions and things like that. But yeah, I think it will be able to slim down on the lengthy work that we need to do, and allow us to use, like you said, we've got the human mind, our interpretive nature to best generate these queries basically for the data.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, everyone. And it's, again, great to hear that Lloyds Banking Group is at the forefront of like digital change and transformation. I guess before we wrap things up, if we just go around once again, what is one benefit of being an apprentice, would you say, from your personal experience in your role at Lloyds Banking Group?
I would say everyone is happy to help. If as soon as you say, like, no matter what grade they are, what team they're in, as soon as you say to them, I'm an apprentice, can you tell me more about what you do, they are just so happy to help you, whether that's in the office, if you bump into someone, or on Teams, if you've seen someone on a call and you think, oh, that's interesting what they were talking about, I'm going to ask them more, they're always happy to help. So I think having that badge of an apprentice is really, really useful, because you can just say and ask anything you want. and you will almost always get someone's time or reach out to them and get answers.
I
Amazing.
definitely agree with Becky. I think everybody's really happy to help. I think I can't rave about apprenticeships enough, but I think having that kind of marriage of being able to learn and also immerse yourself in the work is really motivating. It kind of shows you how your learning can really make a change. So I kind of think of having that mixture of both is completely valuable to everybody really of all ages. I know we've got people in our cohort who are sort of reskilling, upskilling, so there's no bad time to do an apprenticeship. And obviously you get paid for it as well, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely good to be able to consolidate your learning in real time as well in the workspace, rather than, or at least for my background, was very much learning out of a textbook. I couldn't apply my learning until I would be in a workplace from A-levels and my university experience, whereas what I learn in my apprenticeship course, being able to apply that to my work day, which is 80% of the time that I spend with the company, I learn a lot faster and a lot quicker, and you have that opportunity, you can apply it. And I find myself thinking of ways I can use my learning in real life and in my home life as well, which is strange. But yeah, you learn a lot faster, at least I found with the apprenticeship, when you apply it at the same time as learning, rather than just learning and then applying what you pick up in your brain on an exam.
I think you have a lot more control over your learning. I think going from school to an apprenticeship, in school you're kind of told what you've got to learn, you've got your set modules. So as we're going to an apprenticeship, you're really the driver of your own success, which is really nice. Like if you want to learn about AI or machine learning, you really get to decide that, which is really nice.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for
having
coming.
us. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the episode today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.